Welcome to Dying to Know, where we open up about everything that comes with losing a loved one.
Because the only thing that sucks worse than death is not being able to talk about it.
We're your Bereavement Babes, Leah and Rachel, and today we're diving into Bereavement Days. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Leah.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. You ready to get started?
Yeah, today's Bereavement Days.
Bereavement Days.
Yes, all about the work, relationship, and bereavement.
Yeah, all the time you got off.
Yeah, or lack thereof. So, my experience with Bereavement Days, my dad had died during a weekday. Mm-hmm. So that day I actually had off, but I knew I needed to inform the job and everything. So I woke up that morning, I shot an email to my manager and then his manager, just to let them know that exactly what happened and that I would be out of work for some time.
So your dad was sick beforehand, which made you already take those days off? Is that why you already had the day off?
No, actually, because it was still kind of pandemic, 21. Mm-hmm. I was back home in Baltimore, still living there. And then I was due to come up to New York that weekend to visit with some friends.
Yes.
So I had took off that day just to kind of make a longer weekend. Mm-hmm. So I woke up and I was like, let me just tell them this had happened. So I informed him and then his manager of what had took place. And then just went ahead and wrote an out of office message. I remember consulting my brother at that time, asking him what do I say? Do you write out what happened? And he was like, no, just say to unforeseen circumstances that you'll just be out of work. Because usually I'll put a date that I'm coming back or something.
No, I remember even when I had to do it, it's the finding the balance of I need this time off, but not also sounding manic or
Yes.
crazy. I was just how do I, it is an emergency, but finding is it, not to sound it's, I don't know, the biggest emergency ever, even though it kind of is.
Yeah. Or also not knowing the time limit you get.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of the policy at the time. And then two is I didn't care. I just needed to tell people do not look for me. Don't contact me. Don't ask me anything work related. I need time to myself because this event had just taken place.
Yes.
And I think as time moved on during that bereavement period, communicating with my manager in that time to try to figure out what the policy was. And I think we both didn't know. And then come to find out later, I realized we didn't have one in place for anything of this time. So that was a little hard for me to navigate.
Yeah, because I remember you asking me what'd you do? And I'm
yeah.
Honestly, they told me to take what I need. I was just
Yeah.
I checked my email too. I was I didn't get a set in stone, this is exactly what happened. I did the same thing, contact my manager and their manager too.
Yeah.
And it was more just take what you need. So I was I'm sorry, Leah, I don't have a set days that you get and can give you exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah, because bereavement is tricky in that point when in a relation to a job because you need time to plan a service.
Yes.
Sometimes when the deceased has family or friends out of town, you're waiting for people to come. Mm-hmm. You're also processing your own feelings. So the last thing you want to deal with is work-related issues.
The last thing.
Emails. You just want to kind of already tell them I'm not going to be here. I'm not present for this. And we need to don't look for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And making sure that people are also handling what needs to be handled because you are not going to be fixing problems during this time.
Exactly. What's on my plate is no longer
Yeah.
on my plate. And we need the others to kind of step up on the team. Yeah, to take care of it.
So what did you do, I guess, to figure out the right time? Or time limit of how many days? Was there something? Did you go Google something? Did you just say, hey, this is when I'll be back?
No, I just ignored it. I didn't care about Googling, or I was definitely not thinking about work during that time. I think I only went back to work because my brothers went back to work. And I think that was similar between me and you.
I did the same thing.
Where I was I could stay another week, but I felt everyone else had got back to their life prior to this life event. And I was I'm going to be the only person in the house with my mom at this point. So I was I think it's the right time now to return.
No, I felt super similar where we also have the luck or joy of being able to work from home. Mm-hmm. So I feel knowing that some family members had to physically go into the office again, I was just if they can do it and physically take themselves out of bed, I can at least stay in bed, but
yes.
Be behind my computer.
That is true. That's a good thing not a good thing, but
I know I felt that same joy.
But the fact that we had the luxury, I'll say it was a luxury of working from home during that life event. and being able to kind of, it still felt like there was a barrier. Like I kind of eased myself back into work. Therefore, I didn't have to get dressed or be in office, or like when meetings would come on, I would feel like better with keeping my camera off. Like
100%.
it was a slow walk into the work-life balance again. So I think that was definitely
because there definitely was a scary moment of having the first camera on meeting, which was like, it was something small, it was something with my team. My team made me feel so loved during that period of time, but the first camera on meeting was scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what is everyone gonna think? No, so speaking of Googling it and like trying to figure out, I did look it up, and what was really shocking to me is the average bereavement time period is about 3 to 5 days from a company, which is like mind-blowing to me, because those 3 to 5 days, I didn't even know like which way the world was up. So I can't imagine that being the only amount of time required for a bereavement period.
Yes.
And I just like wasn't expecting that. And then what is even crazier is I did have a friend who experienced losing a parent and getting no time, like none whatsoever.
Really?
Really. They didn't, or their job didn't have any type of bereavement,
like structure, policy.
Yeah, no policies. So the given days was whatever 6 days they had left. And as you mentioned, you lived in New York, you were in Baltimore. Like, there is travel that you have to consider. They also had, their loss was out of state, so figuring out all that, they had to use whatever baby time they had left, but there was no empathy coming from the job whatsoever. So watching a friend have to figure out how to make time work, how to schedule everything around their job with like no empathy coming from, or no support like what we got, was one of the like hardest things to watch a friend go through, because you're trying to like be support, and it's like you want to be like, you have to also think of like, you need to keep a job, you need to figure out, but you also are trying to figure out what is the most important thing in the moment.
This friend that you have that didn't get any time off of work, are they currently in a career? Is it a job?
It's definitely their career, where it is important to them. And I mean, at the end of the day, you do have bills to pay. You can't just always like up and leave.
Yeah.
But it's surprising I guess it was the most surprising thing to me was for a job to be like, okay, so now figure it out, because we need this done. Where we came from, it was just like, okay, like, don't even worry, people are gonna pick it up, but like, you're not even worrying about who's picking it up. Yeah. Where it was just like, okay, so how are you getting this done and working around this tragic moment in your life?
Exactly. It seems like it's no empathy with job. I mean, I get like, and it's business just like, is business.
Yeah, but it's just at the end of the day, everyone's like, it's a team. You grow you spend most of your time with your job, so it's just, you still expect emotions to be behind things. And I think even seeing Google give you only 3 to 5 days, it's like, is it really that emotionless when it comes to your career? Like, do you choose between a career and personal life? Yeah. Like, it's a wild balance that I haven't ever experienced, but watching a friend go through it was really surprising. Like, you never think that that's going to be a decision you have to make.
No, absolutely. And like I had looked up, like, what is the average of like time spent, like a bereavement days that jobs allow you? And again, 3 to 5 was in the article that I read too. And then also it's specific depending on who passes in your life. So most jobs regulate like nuclear family members. So I could be a parent, a sibling, a child, a spouse, and a grandparent, which I thought was really interesting, because there's other relationships outside of those titles that you might be close with someone. If your best friend dies, or an aunt or a cousin that was raised like a brother or sister to you.
Or even chosen family. A lot of the times people are across the country, or you develop your own lives outside of your family.
Exactly.
Like, I have chosen family and best friends that like I couldn't live without. And I would need that time to like grieve them and go through that.
Yeah. And then also in this article, it was interesting to learn that, like, it's not required by state or federal government to have regulations for bereavement days in a job. And I didn't want to sound like classist when I asked if your friend had a job or a career, because I thought maybe with people who like have careers, it might be a little bit more leniency with like, you get vacation days, you get PTO, and you get sick days. And I know like jobs are a little bit more strict because you're not on a paid salary, you're paid by the hour. So I feel like their bereavement policies would differ from a person in a career. But to see that it's not regulated by state or federal government. And then 2, no matter where you are in your career development, whether you're just an entry level or at the top of the chain, the policy is still the same for everyone. And like you were saying, 3 to 5 days is nothing.
Nothing. That's still organization right there.
And then for the fact that it's the nuclear family, like if you have a great relationship with your parents, God forbid if someone is a parent and they have to bury a child, 3 days?
Like 3 days. Yeah. And that's like, you're lucky now if you're hitting a weekend to get those extra 2.
I know. But like it's the emotional aspect of it. It's the planning aspect of it. Like it's a lot of logistics that you have to deal with. And you want me to come back to answer an email?
Yeah.
Like, no.
No. And I can't even, and I think that was harder too, to even like watch like my mom or my brother go back to the work phase, because they also mentioned everyone is now coming up to ask you what happened. Are you okay? And it's a constant. And I remember them coming home like after work and just saying like it's draining. Like because now I'm answering every single question of like what happened to the one you lost, what happened to your loved one, where it's like you still don't know what happened and you still didn't process it. Yeah. And now you're answering everyone's questions because you feel obligated by like the generous 3 to 5 days they gave you.
Absolutely. And big kudos and congrats to anyone who is listening and watching who had to go through this and show up for work. Because we know like people you have to work. Like money is a necessity that you need in life. So a lot of people can't afford to take extra days or have the sick days build up. So anyone who went through that, like complete kudos. Again, we had the luxury of like having time off and also being online only. But yeah, people have to show up physically. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, a different type of strong.
Absolutely.
So remember when looking for a job, ask what the bereavement time looks like, because you're gonna want that. You're gonna want as much time as possible for it, and also don't be shy to use some of your, if you have the unlimited PTO or if you have any extra days, use any day out of the year's time, weeks, to take a personal day for yourself to grieve.
Yeah, take it easy on yourself. Jobs are already stressful enough.
Yeah, grieving is a 24/7 kind of thing.
Absolutely. Today's episode is in loving memory to Carlos Los Ariano. Again, we're your bereavement babes, Leah and Rachel. We'll see you on the other side.